Oh, that was what I was gonna say. The whole video games as a job thing. So a couple of years ago, I was picked up by another site called Splitkick, and they had connections in the industry. They were friends with like Greg Miller from IGN, now Kinda Funny, and they'd made some waves on their own. They used to work at Evil Avatar as well, and they found my stuff and wanted me to work with them. So I joined on, and I started getting free games for review, and I was like, man, this is gonna be awesome. I made it. They're starting to send me games that I can keep afterwards, and all I gotta do is write this review. And the first game they gave me, and I didn't really have a choice because you're the new guy on the staff, was terrible. It was a game on Xbox 360, might have been on PlayStation 3. It was a downloadable game that was like Scottish God of War, and let's see what you said. If I make some strides, I'm fine with it. Cool. It was this like Scottish God of War game. The frame rate was really bad. It was a miserable game. And normally, I would just say, no thanks, I'm gonna stop playing this after the first 5 minutes. But because it was my job now, I had to play all the way through. And it's very different. I think that was the first time I had to look at video games in a different light, where video games as work all of a sudden was work, and it was not fun. Really not fun when you are playing bad games that you have to review. I think I would take the worst parts of my current full-time job over reviewing a bad video game like 10 out of 10 times. And so those are things to consider as well when you make video games your livelihood and not just your passion, is that there are some unsavory elements of the job, and sometimes a lot of it. I think if you look at someone like Sean Baby does other stuff now, but for years he was writing just bad video game reviews for EGM, and he kind of made a gimmick out of it, so he kind of had his fun with it. But if you're one of those guys that just writes reviews for bad video games all the time, that is not a life I would want to lead. But of course, like if you're breaking into the industry with a site like an IGN or something like that, you're probably going to play some bad games and have to play some bad games and tough it out. So yeah, when I worked with Splitkick, I think most of the review games I got were not good to mediocre. There were a couple of fantastic ones though. I think Mark of the Ninja was one I got for free, and that game is incredible. That is still my all-time favorite stealth game, and one I enjoy a lot to this day, and I'm really excited for the remake that is coming to the Switch later this year. Let me see what you're saying here. Yeah, jobs can be pretty restrictive in the gaming industry. So, and I think that the challenge is when YouTube and stuff and blogs started popping up and people started seeing success from that, Twitch streams, people thought, oh yeah, I can do whatever I want because it's my channel and I own the property and I can play whenever I want. And then, like, that's not necessarily true either. I was reading an article about Ninja, and of course the Fortnite streamer, and he plays Fortnite on stream for about 12 hours a day. And as much as I understand he loves the game and how much money he's making because he's playing that game for as well as he is for as long as he has been. Let's play some B-Type and switch up the music here. Let's start with 4 and... Oh, okay. And for as long as he has been, like, that's not the life I want to live. And I think another example, like if I were to follow my analytics on my site, if I were to follow that and just make all the content that gets the most clicks, I would be writing fighting game strategy guides till the end of time. And while I love fighting games, it's a passion of mine, and in particular, I like to write fighting games with a slant towards new to intermediate players that are trying to get better, but finding it really hard because the learning curve is really steep and the terminology is really weird. And I like writing guides for those people who are just kind of getting their feet wet, trying to take steps towards the next level. I like writing that type of stuff, but I don't want to only write guides till the end of time. Sometimes I want to write reviews. Sometimes I want to share my opinion on a particular subject. Sometimes I want to share my memories of this great old game I used to play when I was a kid. And a lot of the time, that stuff doesn't get clicks, but because it's the stuff I want to make, that's what I'm going to make. And sometimes you have to, oftentimes you're going to have to choose between the stuff you want to make versus the stuff that makes you money or gets you clicks. And I mean, there isn't necessarily a wrong answer there. If your number one priority is make the money, then, or get the clicks, then go with that. For me, it's a lot more complicated than that. I would rather make the stuff I want to make. Played fighting games for years. I'm still average. It does take a long time. I consider myself to be pretty good now, but it also took years of practice and a lot of extracurricular work in terms of watching tutorial videos and listening to podcasts like Gutex's early like before any of his video stuff. I was listening to his audio podcast with Mike Ross, and I found that hugely helpful. But it takes a lot of work to become a good fighting game player, and so I totally get that.